Okay, good morning, students.
Good morning, sir.
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 So let us continue with the technical aspects of your foreign exchange, right? The continuation part. So yesterday we left with the cross currency rates, right? So let us have a small recall what we had yesterday on cross rates. So we know that the cross rates is nothing but a common currency. From the common currency, uh, an exchange rate has to be derived between two currencies, right? Normally, the two currencies will be quoted against the common currencies. So yesterday we have seen the example of the yen and deriving the Hong Kong dollar rate, okay, in terms of yen, right? The common currency is nothing but your US dollar. So this is your common currency, right? And the two currencies that they have given, the two currencies, right? The yen and the Hong Kong dollar. So these are your two currencies. So here we are going to derive an exchange rate. So exchange rate for what? For exchange rate for the Hong Kong dollars. So that is the definition says the cross currency rate is nothing but from the common currency, which is your US dollar, where we have to derive the exchange rate between two currencies. So from yen and the Hong Kong dollar, we'll be deriving a common rate for the Hong Kong dollar. So this is the definition of the cross currency rates, and we have seen yesterday the two examples. Next thing which you have to be more familiar with is on the chain rule. So next concept is on the chain rule. Ensure that your people work out you put your own example and you start working on that also. So regularly you have to work on the IFM paper. If not, it will be really difficult for you to do that. If you want to learn something in IFM paper, I'm telling you, not by looking and writing exams, this is not going to help you out. But you want to learn something in this, it will really help you out. So next thing is that we're going to see about the chain rule. So chain rule is nothing but normally the simple thing I can say is that the cross rates, okay, are calculated by solving simultaneous equations. Solving simultaneous equations, right? So this is your chain rule. So it is like repeated steps that you have to follow, right? So suppose you have how many units of currency? Suppose I take a simple example, then I will be proceeding with this, the chain rule. Suppose we'll take the one more example. Suppose there is an Australian dollar, right? Okay, one Australian dollar is equal to US dollar they have given is 0.5420. See this not why I'm teaching this is that when we are getting into financial derivatives, this can't be taught at that time because I have to lot of stress to be given only on the derivative concepts, right? I'll not be stressing on the exchange rate transactions and all. So at that time also automatically you have to know what is the chain. Automatically you have to apply the chain rule and you have to use for the hedging purposes. So while teaching derivatives, I'll not be stressing on the exchange rate calculations. So you people have to subconsciously you have to calculate and you have to more strongly concentrate only on the derivative because in the derivatives also we have the mathematical part, right? So next they have given us US $1 equal to Swiss franc. Okay, SF is nothing but Swiss franc 1.2320. So this is a small example. Okay, suppose they're asking what is the cross rate for Australian dollars in terms of, kindly mute your audio, right? So this is the two currencies they have given. Australian $1 is US dollar 0.5420 and US $1 is Swiss franc 1.2320. So you have to find the cross rates, okay, in terms of Swiss franc. So here the Australian, yes,
This is 0.667, sir.
0.66, yes, it is 0.667. Okay, so we already calculated here. We are applying the chain rule by using the simultaneous equation. Okay, so normally what you have to do is that in the chain rule, step by step you have to write. Okay, what is the requirement they need? So here we have to see the you have to ask the step by step question. So first question is how many units of the term currency equal to 1 unit of commodity currency. So here the commodity currency is Australian dollar and the Swiss franc is your terms currency. So first question that you have to ask, step by step you have to follow the questions, like it's like a loop. I can say it's a programming loop, right? So first thing is that you want to ask in terms of what how many units of term currency should be equal to 1 unit of Australian dollar, right? That is terms currency is Swiss franc. So how much Swiss franc will be equal to 1 Australian dollar? So this is the first question you will be asking, right? Then second thing, again, from this is your commodity currency. This commodity currency, once again, you have to ask the question, what will be the 1 Australian dollar? So what will be the 1 Australian dollar? Okay, equal to. So whether they are given, you can check. So they are given 1 Australian dollar is US dollar 0.5420. Okay, so once again you have to ask what is 1 US dollar. So what is 1 US dollar? So this is once again you have to, so first thing again you have to ask, you have to just convert this, not converting, you have to ask the question, right? What would be 1 US dollar? Okay, so 1 US dollar they have given is a Swiss franc 1.2340 they have given, right? So now you can determine what is 1 Australian dollar. So here you can put it more easy. So we have the right hand side. This is your right hand side. You put it as RHS. Put another color. Okay, put it in red. Okay, this is your right hand side, right? And this is your left hand side, right? So when you have compiled these steps, what in the right hand side, what you have to do, you have to multiply the numbers. Whatever the numbers is in the right hand side, you have to multiply, and whatever the numbers is in the left hand side, you have to divide, right? So you have to divide. Here you have to multiply all the numbers which is in your right hand side, and in the left hand side you have to just divide. Okay, this is a simple chain rule. So what you'll be getting is, so here you will be multiplying, right? So we require 1 Australian dollar equal to this you can able to multiply, right? So we require in Swiss franc, right? So write SF, then you can multiply it. We have these two values you can multiply 0.5420 into 1.2340. Then the left hand side we have the 1 Australian dollar, 1. So 1 into 1, you can divide that. Divide by 1 into 1. So how much you're getting? So Australian $1 equal to Swiss franc will be how much? 0.6677. Okay, so this is the rate that we have derived from the the currencies that they have given, right? So here we find the common currency is only US dollar, right? From the common currencies, we have derived the exchange rate which is required for the Australian dollar. So this is the step of your chain rule. Okay, so the cross rate calculated by solving. It's like an equation that we have done. right? So one more example. One more example, I'll take very simple example, right? You people can work out and tell me by using chain rule. Suppose we have New Zealand dollar equal to US dollar 0.4370. Okay, and the pound, 1 pound equal to US dollar 1.4500. Okay, we have to find the cross rate for New Zealand dollar. Cross rate for New Zealand dollar in terms of pounds. In terms of pounds.
Sir, is it 0.6336?
0.63365.
No.
0.633, sir. Oh, in terms of pound,
Okay. New Zealand, see, they are asking for the rate of the New Zealand dollar in terms
yes,
of pounds.
Yes, sir, 0.6336.
You apply the chain rule. What they are asking first. You apply the chain rule. You apply the chain rule over here. First chain rule is nothing but you have to see in terms of what will be the New Zealand dollar. What will be the New Zealand dollar in terms of pounds? This symbol. Okay. So what will be the term currency? What will be the term currency in terms of your New Zealand dollar? Right? Then you have to ask the question, what will be the terms currency, which is New Zealand dollar? If they are giving, they have given, you can put that, yes, they have given. It is US dollar 0.4370. 0.4370. Right? Once again, you ask, what is $1 US? Okay, see whether $1 US is given.
Sir, should we
No,
express
not given.
1 New Zealand dollar in terms of pounds, sir?
Yes.
Sir,
see,
then is
here,
it 0.3? Yes, sir.
Yes, 0. Yes, tell me the
0.3013.
Yeah, okay. 0.3013. See, in the cross chain rule, first you have to ask how many units of term currency is equal to 1 unit of commodity currency. Okay, to put the commodity currency in the right hand side first. Okay, what you are asking. Okay, for commodity currency, we have to express the term currency. So what will be the price? So we are going to do the pricing of the commodity currency, right? So they are asking the pricing of the New Zealand dollar in terms of pounds. Okay, so what will be one New Zealand dollar in terms of pounds? So first thing is that first you have to write you have to determine how many units of the term currency will be equal to 1 unit of commodity currency. Once again, the right hand side, the commodity currency, you write left hand side once again, right? This will be a terms currency. So once again, you have to ask how many unit of New Zealand term currency will be equal to the commodity currency, the US dollar. Okay. Once again, you put this here. What will be the US dollar? Suppose they are given the question. They have not given the question, or we can put the value here. So the value they have given, you can repeat this value also, right? So instead of doing this, they have given the value. So US dollar 1.4500. Okay, equal to they have given 1 pound. Okay, so this has been over, right? So we have written everything. Now what we require actually. So we require the New Zealand dollar. So first you have to write the New Zealand dollar equal to what we require in terms of pounds. You write the pound symbol. Okay, so whatever is in the right hand side, you have to multiply. Whatever there is in the left hand side, you have to divide. Okay, so in the right hand side, you can multiply, right? 1 into 0.4370 into 1. So that you can put in the numerator 1 into 0.4370 into 1 divided by whatever which is in the left hand side, you have to divide. So 1 into 1 into 1.4500. 1 into 1 into 1.4500. So how much you're getting? 0.4370 divided by 1.4500. So your New Zealand dollar will be how much? How much will be the terms currency for the one New Zealand dollar?
0.3013.
Okay, 0.3013, or any round up to be done after that?
Sir, 3014, sir, that means, that's all.
Okay, 3014. Okay, so this is the cross rate that we have done for the New Zealand dollar. Okay, it is clear to you, the cross currency rates, because this is very, very important for your derivatives. When I have to get into derivatives, I'll not be teaching this one, but directly have to get into the concept of the derivatives. At that time, I'll not be having the time to teach this and all. So you people try to work this. Right? Next thing is that next thing you have to remember is a term called points. Right? Next three terms that you have to know as known as the points. See, points is nothing but the last decimal place which a particular exchange rate is usually quoted. So I can put it more simple way. The last decimal place, okay, to which a particular exchange rate, is quoted. Okay, it is called as point or pip, right? Point or pip. Suppose I can put the one example. Suppose we have euro, okay, 1 euro equal to US dollar 0.8450. Okay, so what does 1 point mean? 1 point is nothing but see, 1 point is nothing but 1 point will be US dollar 0.0001, or it can be derived as 1 divided by 100 of US cent. So this is the meaning of the point or pip. So 1 point in terms of dollar is nothing but US dollar equals 0.0001 or 1 divided by 100 of a US cent. Right? Suppose suppose they have given a quotation called $1 is given in yen. 122, or put any value, okay, 122.50. Suppose US $1 is the commodity currency is being priced in terms of the yen, which is the terms currency, that is 122.50 yen. So here we know that the points, I don't want to complicate over here. The same way in the yen point is the US dollar have given. Suppose if the yen, suppose 1 point in yen is nothing but 1 point in yen is nothing but your yen equal to 0.01 or 1 divided by 100 of a yen. Okay, this you remember. So it means that this is not equal to this one. Okay, in the above example, we can say the 1 point of the US dollar in US dollar. Okay, 1 point in US is the US dollar 0.0001. And if you see 1 point in yen, it is yen equals 0.01. So it means that the point in US dollar is not equal to the yen, 0.01. Okay, the point in US is not equal to point in yen. So pip is nothing but the fluctuation in points. So how much points the exchange rate fluctuates. So that is the concept over here. If there is a fluctuation of 2 points, it does not mean that yen will also be fluctuating in 0.02. It is different. Okay, there is also fluctuation in one exchange rate is not equal to fluctuation in other exchange rate. So it will be entirely different, right? So as we have seen, the US dollar, as I given the example over here. Once I can write the example. Suppose you have US $1 equal to yen 122.50. The commodity currency US dollar is being priced in terms of yen, that is 122.50. Suppose you have to determine only in the points, okay, in the dollar point. It means that US dollar 0.0001 is equal to yen 122.50 divided by 10,000. So you will get yen equal to 0.01225. Now this is equal to this one. Now you can compare the points or the fluctuation in exchange rate. Here you cannot do any comparisons. So no comparison cannot be done. Right? So here the comparison of the exchange rate can be done. So this is more useful when we have to deal with the options. Okay, currency options is there. At that time, this is required. Right? At that time, they would have given in some other points. We have to convert that points and we have to bring into the common platform. Then we have to come. Then we have to see for how much point there is in fluctuation. So here, nothing but the $1 point is worth more than 1 yen point. Okay, so this is the typical thing that you have to remember. Maybe it is a little bit complicated, nothing new on that. Okay, so this you remember the concept of point. Then next thing I'll put a simple thing on calculating the exchange rate profits and loss. This is very easy. Okay, exchange rate profit and loss. So once we are more strong, having a strong grasp in the conversions and the interpretation, then we have to get into the exposure risk management, right? So in the exposure risk management, we have to see the leading and lagging technique. We have two techniques, like internal techniques and we have external techniques. So that we have to see. That is also a 10-mark question. Okay. Mostly in the 10-mark question also they'll be asking the conversion rates and all. Okay, it does not mean that theoretically they'll be asking. There will be some situation-based questions will also be asked, right? So for that only I have to do the calculations over here. So they'll be asking the conversion rates and all. That is also important for you. Blindly theory they will not be asking, but situation-based question will be there. No, see, exchange rate of profit and loss, nothing but, so when we have the occurrence of the thing, see the exchange profit and loss, exchange profit and loss, okay, it varies. It varies. The change, or I can say the exchange profit and loss normally result in what? By buying and buy or selling currencies. Okay, at different exchange rate, a different exchange rate. Okay, so when there is an occurrence of profit and loss, we know that when we buy or sell currencies at a different exchange rate, definitely there is a result in profit. So when there is a variation in profits and be there, so the profit and loss is calculated only in terms of the commodity currency, or any one currency has to be kept constant. So okay, the commodity currency, or the terms currency to be kept constant. So both cannot be fluctuated. So that is a term I'm telling you. So any one of the currency should be kept constant then only we can see whether there is a profit or loss, right? So profit or loss will be expressed only in the units of the currency. That is very, very important. So not be getting it too much complicated over here, because while risk management, we will be dealing with the which currency has to be kept constant, which currency has to be fluctuated. We'll see later in the financial derivatives, right? So I'll just stop this. I'll put a simple example. Suppose we're asking, suppose there is an example called what will be the profit? Okay, what will be the profit when the pounds okay, the pounds are purchased at a rate of, suppose 1 pound they have given is US dollar 1.4450. Okay, it is purchased, the particular pound, right? It is purchased in at this rate and sold at when 1 pound is US dollar 1.4451. Okay, so what is the profit you have to show? So what will be the profit in terms of US dollar?
So
You can calculate the profit per $10. You first subtract this two. Now, what is the sale proceeds? You see this proceeds of sale. Okay, see
The 0.0.
US dollar profit.
Sir, my profit per unit is 0.0001, sir.
Okay, well, in terms when you multiply this one, what is in terms of US dollar?
Yes, sir. That's what, sir.
Terms of
0.0001. When I sell 1 lakh pounds, I will get $10, sir, profit.
$10 or $100? What is the profit you're getting?
Sir,
Yes,
$10
$100. Sir.
$100.
Yes.
See, you have the proceeds of sale. You have the proceeds of sale of how much? The pounds. Okay, then the minus the cost of purchase of the particular pound, whatever may be the value. Okay, you normally have to subtract the sale minus the cost. So you can put like this also. You can multiply this into this, or you can put the common thing out here, and you can subtract 1.4451 minus 1.4450. Okay, so how much you're getting? 100 into 0.0001, right? So you're getting $100, right? So there is a profit of 1 point. So this is nothing but your 1 point. Okay, so here we are seeing, right? So this is your 1 point. Getting the point, getting the thing what I'm telling you. So the profit of 1 point, we're getting US $100 from the this thing. So the next thing is that you have the arbitrage opportunities and all. We'll be seeing later the regarding the arbitrage thing is there. Then we have to see something on the realized and unrealized profit. So we'll be getting into later when we are getting into the techniques of the exchange risk management, right? Right.
So the arbitrage is like this basically what we do sales no? So like when the prices are low we buy it and the prices are high we sell it no? So that's what is like basically the arbitrage is it deeper sir?
No, buy and sell is the common thing. See, exchange rate depends upon whether you also sell it low price also, or you may sell at high price also, you maybe sell at low price, depending upon the profits you have, whether it is unrealized profit or realized profit that you have to see in the books. Okay, so that is a concept of managing the cash by the firm in the exchange rates. So we call the term as held for trading. In the books, you have the concept for held for trading. So in that they have been managing the exchange rate fluctuations. With that, they manage the, at that time they'll be checking the variations in realized gain and unrealized gain, right? So if I say what is realized, what is the difference between a realized profit and unrealized profit?
Sir, realized profit is when we actually get it, sir. For example, if we make a sale of a foreign exchange and we
Okay.
realize the profit, sir, but then at the closing date of the year, if you want to close the books and we're not, the sale date is not yet arrived, no, sir. But since
Yes,
like
yes.
at the closing date, we have a rate which is higher than what we actually got it, sir. So that time we have an unrealized profit.
Yeah, that is nearby something. Yes, you have said that. So when we getting into hedging, we'll do that. Next, one more concept. Already people have done most of the things, right? Lot has to be discussed. Right. One more thing that you have to know something on that. Give that I'll be closing out the session. One more concept that you have to know is on the spot and forward rates. Because these are to be known before getting into the risk management techniques. So spot and forward rates. So we know the purchase and sale of one currency against the other currency. It may be either the on spot basis or which is kept for future delivery. Right? When it comes to the spot transactions, right? When it comes to the spot transaction, okay, the currencies are delivered immediately, or either on the same day or from the date of transaction within 2 days. So the spot transaction, nothing but the currencies are delivered. Currencies are delivered either immediately or I can say on the same day or within the 2 days, or I can put it as T+2. Okay, within 2 days from the date of transaction. So it depends upon the nature of the market. Okay, the market convention says that immediately it has been done. Okay, if it says that after 2 days only you'll be getting the differences. Okay, so you cannot able to argue with the banker or the dealer who normally deals with the exchange rates. So it entirely depends upon the bankers' rules and regulations that they have. So we are normally a trader or investor. We don't have any authorized to instruct them. So we have to follow their instruction. Only thing is we are acting as a trader, or we act as an arbitrager, or we may be acting as a speculator. So depending upon the role that we play, maybe I may be a speculator. I don't want to invest my money. I want to see only these short-term profits for say for 1 hour or 2 hour, or I have some other work. Okay, say assume that I just I want to just have some fun. I have a lot of money. I have to have fun. I have to just gain or loss. Well, I don't bother about that. That is called speculative. Okay, mostly speculators will have fun. Mostly the gamblers. Okay, those people are mostly speculators. They don't bother about, they have, see, if you go to high net worth individuals who are having the net worth of something around 10 crores, okay, minimum 10, more than 10 or 15 crores. Those people don't bother about whether you lose 20,000 or 15,000 or 1 lakh or 2 lakhs. They are 1 lakh, 2 lakh is for them, it's like 15 rupees or 20 rupees. Okay, they don't even bother about that. If 1 crore and 2 crore is lost, then those people will be getting risky. Okay, those people will be, then they'll be seeing evaporate. 1 crore, 2 crore has been lost. Then we have to see that, right? So if you go and ask a common investor do a speculative business in an exchange rate, if there is a loss in 5,000, definitely you will have an head pay. Okay, because those are the hard earned money. He knows the value of the worth of the money we had. Okay, so there is a lot of difference between the persons who get involved in exchange rates. Normally, middle persons will not be getting into that because they don't know what is happening, right? So normally the speculators or the traders normally have the higher platform in dealing with the exchange rates. So spot transaction is depending upon the dealers that they do, right? So the exchange rate of a spot transaction. So this is a spot transaction. The exchange rate of a spot transaction is called as spot rate. The exchange rate of spot transaction is called your spot rate. Right. In the same way, we have the forward rate. See, forward rate is nothing. Forward rate is nothing but the future delivery transaction. Future delivery transaction. Okay. Sure, it is the one term of your derivatives. Okay, one type of derivative, right? The forward contract. I can say it's a one type of derivative instrument. See, future delivery is nothing but the contract is made between two parties, okay, for purchase and sale of one currency. Today itself, they would have decided the future rate, okay. In future date, at a rate, at an exchange rate, say maybe in the month of May 30th, okay. We and see, I am a dealer and you are a trader. So we have decided that at the month of May, we would be converting the US dollar into rupee, okay, at a particular rate. Okay, suppose US $1 is equal to 82.17. Okay, and you are afraid that there will be a fall in the rupee value. Fall in the rupee value is nothing but the fall in the terms currency is nothing but increase in your commodity currency, right? You're afraid that there will be fall. So you thought that whether it is better to go for the hedging part, then you go for the forward contract between me. So I am a banker. So you have a forward contract between me and today in today's date. Okay, today is 12th, right? So 12th of January, we both had a contract, right? And we have decided that on the May 38th, whatever the rate, the US dollar, okay, suppose the US dollar comes around the 60.12. At this rate, we will be exchanging the uh, differences of the currency value. Okay, so on May 30, if on May 30, suppose it is going below, suppose it is going below 50.12, I'll be the loser, you'll be the benefiter. Suppose at that time, suppose US $1 is something around 1.70.12, you may exercise it or you may not exercise it. But as far as the forward contract is concerned, you are obligated to do that. So you will have the loser. So we see that when we deal with the derivatives. I'm not getting into that. Here we are more concerned with the spot. What is spot rate and what is forward rate? See, so spot rate is nothing but the exchange rate of a spot transaction is called spot rate, or I can say the exchange rate of a future delivery transaction is called as your forward rate. Okay, the exchange rate of your future delivery transaction. Future delivery transaction is called your forward rate. Forward rate, right? Let me give you a very simple example. Suppose we have forward rate, right? Spot $1. I put it in. Let me put it in local currency. So let us not confuse with pounds and all. So rupees 39.95 or rupees 39.97. The same way, suppose there is a 1 month forward contract. 1 month forward $1 is equal to rupees 39.98 and rupees 40.00. Okay, so normally suppose a person agrees to buy $10,000 on a 1 month forward. from an X bank. Suppose there is a person. Okay, he says that he's going to buy $10,000, $10,000 on 1 month forward basis from an X bank. Okay, so how much he has to pay? You people tell me. I've already taught you the how to interpret from the banker's point of view. How much he has to pay to the banker in rupees? People can reply, pa.
For the forward contract, he has to pay around some 39,980, sir, for forward contract for buying. If it is a spot rate, you have to. If it is a
No,
spot,
which rate? You tell me which rate is applicable for us. We're
So-
going to buy the dollar from the bank. How much rupee he has to pay? Which rate is applicable?
40, sir.
From the
spot rate.
yes,
Spot rate.
this no, I'm turning forward. He's going to purchase 1 month forward.
Oh, 1 month forward. So okay, so
Hmm.
I didn't know this. Sorry, so I didn't listen to that. If it is a forward, you have to buy it at 39.98, so which is a forward rate.
You're a trader and banker is a dealer. You as a trader require $10,000. Okay, so here as I already said, from the banker's point of view, you have to interpret the exchange rate. What I already said to you. This is your left hand currency. Okay, the left hand currency will be bought at this rate and the left hand currency will be sold at the ask rate by the banker. You're getting the point or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So bank
so
will be selling at 40, so which will be our buying rate now.
so how much rupees we will be paying to the bank?
40,000.
40,000 now. So
Yes, sir.
multiply this into this. Nothing difficulty. Why? See, the bank is selling. See, this is bid rate and this is your ask rate. The bank will be selling the dollar. In the spot, the bank will be buying dollar at 39.95 and the bank will be selling dollar at 39.97 for the spot. So here the trader, we are the trader and we are going to buy the 1 month forward for it $10,000. Right. So what we are doing is that you have to see from the banker's point of view at what dollar the bank will be selling, at which rate the bank will be selling dollar. So dollar is nothing but your commodity currency and this is your terms currency, right? The bank will be buying dollar at 13.98 and bank will be selling dollar at rupees 40. So we require dollar. Okay, we have to purchase $10,000 or we have to buy $10,000. We require $10,000. So bank will be selling dollar at what rate? At 40. So how much in rupees that we have to pay so that we can buy $10,000?
4 lakhs,
So we
sir.
have to pay, 4 lakh. It's very simple now. 10,000 into 40. People forget. So we have to pay to the banker the 4 lakh. See, these are the things I can't able to repeat when we have to deal with the derivatives. Okay, once again, you have to have strong grasp in the conversion part, right? So bank will be paying him the $10,000. Okay, so both the currencies will be delivered after 1 month because 1 month is the forward. After 1 month, both the currencies will be delivered. So here, one more concept is that the forward margin or the discount. So you have to see the whether there is a forward margin in your forward rate, whether the forward is at premium or at discount. So let me I'll put it more, I will not complicate it, put it more simple example. Then we'll get into more complexities. See, suppose there is a spot, $1 equal to rupees 40. Okay, and a 6 month forward, 6 month forward, which is $1 equal to rupees 42. Okay. So if people tell me whether the currency is cheaper or costlier, whether you can tell me whether dollar is costlier or cheaper.
So if it is a forward contract, it will be costlier, sir, because you have to pay more money than what it is on this.
Yeah. So it means that dollar is at premium. Getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dollar is at premium. If I say the same 6-month forward $1 is equal to rupees 39.75. Whether the dollar is costlier or cheaper.
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 sir.
It means, so it means what? Dollar is at discount.
Discount, sir.
Okay, you getting the point?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So on this basis only, you have to go for the arbitrage part. So here you can see that in this example, whether you see whether the dollar is cheaper or costlier. In this example, whether your dollar is cheaper or costlier
Dollar is
for 1 month.
costly, sir. It's costly by 0.
Costlier, sir.
Costly,
Premium.
sir.
It is costlier. It means that dollar is at
Premium.
Premium, sir.
premium. Dollar is at premium. Okay. So this thing you have to interpret like this only. Right. So you can do a quantification also. Right. So you can see the percentage change in price of currency will be the forward price of the currency minus spot price of the currency divided by the spot price of currency into 100. So this thing also you can see whether how much percentage change in the exchange rate can be takes place. Okay, suppose I put the simple example with that will be ending, right? Suppose the spot $1 is rupees 40. Okay, and the forward 1 month forward 1 month forward $1 is rupees 44. So tell me whether the dollar is cheaper or costlier. Dollar is
Costlier.
cheaper or costlier? Costlier. It means
Dollar is
the dollar.
premium.
Dollar is at premium.
So dollar is at premium. So you can say the what is the percentage premium of dollar? So you can find out the percentage premium of dollar. So here the forward price, okay, forward price of the currency minus the spot price of currency divided by spot price of currency into 100.
10%.
So
10%,
10%. Okay. So it means that the percentage premium of dollar is 10%. So it means when the speculator, if you know there is a 10% premium, this means that you're going to get a 1 point or 2 point advantage, or I can say the 1/10 of advantage you'll be getting. If you having the if you see the normally see you find lot of hedging opportunities when you see the exchange rate. There is a lot of arbitrage opportunities available. Okay, if you have the strong grasp in the exchange rates. So, but one thing is that now RBI has done that. Normally, he has given a lot of restrictions in FMA that you have to show the daily trading part to the RBI, to submit to the RBI. So that is the main part for restriction for retail investors. But if for a corporate fellow, then there is no thing where you can show the report after the 1 month or 3 months. But for a retail investors, we can have a lot of arbitrage opportunities and we can have the benefit of doing a trade and get benefited within 1 day. We can earn 6,000 to 7,000, not more than that. Below 5,000 or 5,000 to 6,000 only we can do and we can earn. But one thing is that daily you have to show the report to the bank. So that is the problem over there. So when if 1 day we have not shown the report to the bank, then they will freeze your account. So that is the restriction that FEMA has done. I don't know why they are doing like this, but there is some conditions to be seen further. So till now, it is clear what we have discussed today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, I'll be ending the session. If people try to work it out, I'll be sending this one. Okay. Today night, I'll be sending to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.